Hi there, grief growers, and thanks so much for joining me today. I'm away from the mic for a bit to prepare for Season 8 of Coming Back and the launch of my very first online course, Life After Loss Academy, on January 1st, 2020. But in the meantime, I wanted to share some never-before-heard clips from Season 7 interviews. This week, I'm bringing forth a piece of my conversation with writer and kindergarten teacher Rachel Whalen. On episode 90 of Coming Back, she shared the deaths of several of her babies via miscarriage and stillbirth, and the birth of her daughter Frances, who is living. There is an enormous difference between parenting dead children and parenting living ones, but comparing the two is not always supported or acknowledged in the bereaved parents community. We got really deep and personal in our interview on Coming Back, and after the mic went off, after the interview officially concluded, we talked about how comparing griefs is often frowned upon in the grief community. Take a listen. I think that was brilliant. I love that you went there with me. Thank you. I was like, I'm going to throw her some hard questions and we'll see what happens.
That was so good. Oh my God. I just hope I'm not like crucified after. It's okay. It's so hard talking about the loss at different stages. And it's the only area I've ever found myself kind of, and I don't want to say get in trouble, but it wakes something up in people, but it's a conversation that needs to be had. And I want people to know that it's okay for us all to go there, and we need to trust each other to talk about that stuff. So I really appreciate you bringing me there. Thank you.
I think you're right. And I'll offer, I don't know if this is some measure of reassurance or not, but the biggest thing that I get crucified for, other than charging to do grief work when I take private clients, which people think you should just do it for free.
Yes.
That's a thing. And that's a whole other separate conversation, is the intersection of grief and money.
We can talk about that sometime.
Yeah, right. The biggest thing
we can talk about that, because people don't think you should be paid to write about grief either. And
no, they're like, it just happened to you. Shouldn't we all just have access to it? I'm like, no.
This is like the most personal work a person can do, but yeah, no. Anyway.
Yes. But so the thing I get crucified the most for is counting a broken engagement that happened in my own world and universe at about the same severity as the death of my mother. And people often are like, how dare you compare a breakup and a death? I'm like, I'm not comparing them. I'm just saying on my Richter scale, they scaled at about the same. I broke down the same. My hopes, dreams, expectations were all crushed. Everything. It was like pulling one great curtain down over my life twice. And for me to put those things in the same camp and put them at a pretty close severity level, it pisses people off. And so I share in that kind of thing of like, this is my experience. It doesn't have to be yours. A lot of people would rather divorce their husbands than have them dead. And I totally understand where you're coming from. But for me, losing somebody I thought was going to love me forever is exactly the same as losing somebody I thought was going to love me forever. So like the storylines, the undercurrent.
Could not be nodding my head more.
Yeah. Right? So yeah. I totally hear you.
So reassuring and so validating to hear. Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed this In the Meantime episode of Coming Back. If you'd like to listen to my full conversation with Rachel Whalen, where she reads her response to a very hurtful Dear Abby letter, go back and listen to episode 90 of Coming Back, called Parenting a Dead Child with Rachel Whalen. That's all for this episode of Coming Back In the Meantime. I can't wait to return to you with full-length episodes in Season 8, which is heading your way on Wednesday, January 1st. Here's where you can catch me between now and then. First off, grief growers, be sure to sign up for Life After Loss Academy, which begins on January 1st. It's a 12-week online course where I'm guiding you to feel safe again, break up with the myth of the perfect griever, and let go of the life you can no longer live after a devastating loss has occurred. Find out more and enter to win one of 3 scholarships to Life After Loss Academy at my website, shelbyforsythia.com. For grief support beyond this podcast, join me live on December 16th at 8 p.m. Central Time over on my Patreon page. Pledge at any dollar amount to unlock the link to join us. I'll be taking your questions and thoughts on grief and loss and sharing my favorite grief resources with you as well. You can find that at patreon.com/ShelbyForsythia. My book, Permission to Grieve, makes a wonderful holiday gift. If someone you love is grieving this season, consider gifting the paperback, ebook, or audiobook this year. If you'd like to leave a question, comment, or guest suggestion for a future episode, email me at shelby@shelbyforsythia.com. I read every email I receive, and your suggestions are my top priority for guests for new episodes of Coming Back. As always, it was beautiful sharing this space and time with you today. I see you, I'm proud of you and the work that you're doing in the world, and I love you. Because even through grief, we are growing.